Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. This episode is one in a series that we will feature in celebration of our 20th anniversary and through a year-long Youth Summit series. The CSC has provided the backbone support to the Broward Strategic Plan since its inception in 2001. Approximately every 5 years, we've organized a youth summit to provide the child-serving community an update on the system of services and its impact on the children and families of Broward. As we continue to deepen connections and engage youth and community members in that strategic planning process, we launched this special Future First series to highlight the issues facing our children, center youth voice and perspective, raise awareness, and share solutions and resources within the context of the Youth Summit series. In this episode, we'll talk about an issue many of us may be unfamiliar with. I know I was, period poverty and how it impacts girls and young women. Would you believe that even in Broward County, many girls and young women have limited access to affordable menstrual products? This can negatively impact their learning, their access to employment, and their ability to be a full participant in healthy social interactions. In these Youth Summit related episodes, I'm occasionally going to be joined by a co-host. Today, my co-host is Alex Hernandez, a leading advocate on this issue, even at her tender young age. She's a graduate of Broward County Public Schools and a current Nova Southeastern University student. I'm also joined by Ashley Eubanks, CEO and founder of the Beauty Initiative, Dr. Ciara Bostick, a co-chair of the Girls Coordinating Council of Broward, and the CSC's very own Government Affairs Manager, Meagan Turetsky. Shortly, we'll also hear from Florida State Senator Lauren Book, who's become quite the champion on this issue. Alex, before we get started with the panel, would you please introduce yourself, tell the audience how you became passionate about this subject? And since you know it so well, I'm going to ask you to ask the first question of our panel.
Thank you, Cindy. Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Hernandez, and I am a student at Nova Southeastern University. And my journey with period poverty began when I was in high school. And I found out that at my school, they didn't provide menstrual hygiene products for students that needed them. And once I found that out, it became apparent to me that some action needed to be taken. So I began collecting menstrual hygiene products such as pads and distributing them and putting them into classrooms. But specifically in Florida, we're an abstinence-only state, so we're not allowed to provide certain hygiene products to those students because they're deemed as sexual items. So that was a struggle that I had to kind of overcome with my team. I worked with organizations like Girl Up, which is a United Nations organization that focuses on fighting for gender equality and getting education and those products out to women and girls. And working with them, we were able to distribute those products in classrooms. So we were able to put them all in all the classrooms at my school. And then slowly we began collecting and sending out those products into other countries, such as Colombia and Honduras. And we were able to see how much, one, these products were needed, but two, how complex period poverty is. Because period poverty also includes the lack of information that deals with menstrual hygiene. How to use the products, what it is when you get your period, and also the fact that period poverty also includes not having clean access to water. Maybe you have the items, but you don't have access to clean water, or maybe you have the items, but you don't have access to toilets where you can use those items. So period poverty is this huge and tremendous intersectional issue that's affecting not only women and young girls, but it's affecting people that just don't have access to hygiene facilities to clean themselves. When the pandemic came, there was so many people that had to stop using government buildings where they would get water and clean themselves. So how would they have access to those items when the pandemic came? But when I was searching, throughout my whole journey, I realized that there were many organizations that were fighting for this cause. And one of those organizations was the Beauty Initiative with my friend, Ashley Eubanks. So do you want to tell us about what the Beauty Initiative is, Ashley?
Sure. Thank you so much, Alex. My name is Ashley Eubanks Johnson, and I am the proud founder of a nonprofit here in Broward County known as the Beauty Initiative. The Beauty Initiative, our mission is simple. We help people feel clean and restore their dignity by making hygiene items accessible. So we started actually doing beauty. And to help others take the initiative to help. But after seeing a woman that was close to my age panhandling with bloodstained clothing, I knew I had to do something. And with that, we were actually able to change my 30th birthday plans to ask my family, friends, and social media following for period supplies. And on that one day, we did about 15,000. And I thought that was it. I thought that was my act of service. But 5 years later, we have 4 running initiatives that help build hygiene, teach hygiene education, and actually distribute amongst the state of Florida, as well as throughout the entire US and other countries, with just promoting that dignity is due to everyone and fighting hygiene insecurity and period poverty right on the front lines. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You know, as women, we've all experienced getting our periods, and we know for young girls, I'm a mom of a 15-year-old, it's pretty stressful. I can't imagine, and I'm able to provide her, thank goodness, with the supplies. I can't even imagine the stress that it would cause. I know I had those experiences where once, you get stuck, but I always knew eventually I would be able to find the supplies. Ciara, I want to bring you into this conversation as the co-chair of the Girls Coordinating Council and a woman. Please talk about why the Girls Coordinating Council has taken this issue up. First, what it is, and then why you've taken this up.
Well, good morning, everybody. As she mentioned, my name is Dr. Ciara. I am this year's co-chair of the Girls Coordinating Council. I've actually been a part of the council since the beginning, at 2017, I believe. We were just a small group of women collaborating in the community. But for those who don't know, the Girls Coordinating Council of Broward County is a part of the CSC strategic plan, and we promote holistic, gender responsive, trauma-informed, and strength-based practices for supporting girls in Broward County. And we encourage collaboration within the community that align with the initiatives and best practices for working with young girls. So throughout the Girls Coordinating Council, we have different organizations that are a part, and we meet monthly. And in these monthly meetings, we discuss issues that are happening with our girls here in Broward County. And we noticed that one of the biggest things is period poverty. And that's why this year we've decided to add advocacy as one of our key points of themes of this year, as well as mental health, and as well as environmental awareness. We are actually in the process currently of planning our Girls Summit, which I am the chair of this year. And our main focus is going to be advocacy. So having this discussion today on period poverty and the lack of materials and products that are needed for our girls in Broward County, it couldn't be more important, especially at a time like this. So I'm thankful for individuals like Alex. I'm thankful for individuals like Ashley, who actually see that there's an issue, who's continuing to fight, and just know that the Girls Coordinating Council has your back 110%.
As a student, I was just, from first grade all the way to 12th grade, I was in Broward County as a student. And in middle school, I was seeing period poverty, but I didn't have the language to understand what it was. Friends of mine that had no products and they wouldn't eat. The way that they would eat was from the school. And I learned that many of my friends, many menstruators around me, they didn't have access to the language, what it was, how to use it. What do you do when you're in middle school and you get your period, but you don't have the language? You think that you've hurt yourself. And then when you get to high school, you're supposed to know what it is when you don't have the language, and you have teachers and students around you who make you feel dirty for it. And even when you come back home, it's something taboo, and there's a big stigma around it, and you can't talk about it. So it's all these layers upon layers of moments where you don't have a voice, you don't have the language to talk about it, and third, you don't have the resources, period. And as it said, the only reason period should be used is at the end of the sentence. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. We shouldn't be afraid because I might bleed through. It says that when you look at the statistics worldwide, you see countless women and menstruators having access to no period products, and they don't have the ability to go get some. And everything was put, like, specifically now with the pandemic, the numbers for people facing menstrual inequities have risen. And I think that it's insane, but there is help out there. I mean, women in distress, there's shelters that give out period products, and there's organizations like yours and Ashley's that are doing things. So when you see that, I feel like there's big hope, and I'm so excited to see everything that's going to be done, you know?
Well, speaking of things being done, some of that is advocacy, because the problem is so big. And Ashley, I think you've been on the forefront of that advocacy. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Thank you so much. So, learning with dignity. When I was actually school-based working in our schools in Broward County, I had a student come tell me another student was refusing to go to class. And I marched into the restroom to actually ask what was going on. And she told me, Miss Eubanks, I have my period. And I told her to, go ahead and get a pad and freshen up and go back to class. Unfortunately, she told me that her or the other student didn't have one. I didn't have one to spare, and neither did our clinic. And with actually finding out that the clinic did not have these items readily accessible for our students in case of emergency, such as that one, was disheartening. So I had already been working with the Beauty Initiative, giving out these products to women and those that are experiencing homelessness in the county, but I never thought that it was an issue within our schools until it was actually right before my eyes. And that's when I said, there has to be more that we can do. I did my research, consulted with my family and those who have done things in the community that are bigger than my organization, which was small at the time. And I reached out to Senator Book, and she took my call, and then she eventually took my meeting very quickly. And with sharing that one story, immediately she said, there's something we can do. And that's when we actually wrote Learning with Dignity, the bill. And this is our third year going up for this bill. And what the bill entails is that it will ensure that schools have these products accessible to students while they're in school, because that student that actually bled on herself had to walk home and miss school for the rest of the day. And it just wasn't just a regular student. She was a stellar student, a student that actually graduated with her associate's degree and went on to graduate college at such a young age. So that one day that she missed, that was one day too much for me. So with Learning with Dignity, that is something that is near and dear to my heart, but I think it's even bigger than what we can imagine, because it just doesn't handle the actual period poverty within schools, but it teaches our students that we're there for them. It also teaches them that this is something that happens naturally and sometimes happen when it wants to happen. But it also shows them that the schools, the adults in the schools, and the community can rally around them and say, even if you aren't prepared, we are prepared to assist you and to help you and to be with you during that time. So Senator Lauren Book has been our champion, straight out of Broward County and Plantation, and she has been fighting on the front lines for us to show that, number one, this is an issue that is considered a taboo issue, but also it's an issue that needs to be stopped. There's a quote that always is said, is that a period should end a sentence and not an education, because we want our students to stay in school. We don't want this to be something that is bigger than them. If we can give them Band-Aids, if we can give them a pencil and a Scantron, we should be able to make these items accessible to them and give them happily to our students. So that's Learning with Dignity, and that's what we're doing.
That is fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more. And now let's see how persuasive you've been with Senator Book, because it seems she got the message loud and clear.
Hi, my name is Lauren Book, and for the past several years, I've been fighting to pass legislation to combat period poverty in Florida's public schools. Period poverty is the phenomenon when a person cannot afford menstrual hygiene products, and survey results show that this issue keeps 1 out of 5 girls each month out of school during their period. A period should end a sentence, not interrupt an education, and ensuring Florida's school children have access to menstrual hygiene products if and when they need them is a step toward equality in our public schools. Here in Florida, legislation was passed several years ago to ensure women who are incarcerated have access to menstrual hygiene products at no cost. Now we must extend that same level of basic dignity to Florida's school-aged girls and ensure that students in all Florida's public schools have free access to menstrual hygiene products. Pads and tampons should not be considered a luxury. Menstrual hygiene products are a healthcare necessity that cannot be substituted easily. Menstruating people with low or no income often resort to unhygienic measures in order to take care of themselves during their menstrual cycles, including paper towels, tissue, cardboard, and more. We have an opportunity to help young girls in Florida learn with dignity by providing access to basic hygienic necessities. Let's pave the way for a new generation of learners whose bright futures are unhampered by period poverty due to gender and circumstance. Contact your legislator today and tell them you support the effort to eliminate period poverty in Florida's schools. Together, we can make a difference for the next generation of learners.
Okay, now I'd like to bring Meagan into this conversation because we've heard how passionate Senator Book is, and it's wonderful when you can get to a legislator and make sure that they understand, but it's generally not just one person who needs to do the persuading. It's that collective voice that really can make a difference. Meagan, talk about your role in all of this.
Thank you, Cindy. And in my role as Government Affairs Manager for Children's Services Council, I advocate at a state, local, and federal level on issues that are relating to children, including this issue. I think it shows how important the Children's Strategic Plan Committees are, including the Girls Coordinating Council, because we see things bubble up from these committees that are now making their way to state and federal legislation. And we have so many examples of that are outside of this, including juvenile diversion, early childhood courts, and things like that. But it also is a great convening spot where we can have people like Ashley, Alex, and Dr. Bostick talk about all these important issues, including this issue. While I'm up here in Tallahassee right now, actually, not my background though, we're up here advocating on this issue and so many others that are so important to our children in Broward County.
Excellent. Alex, you're probably closest to the age of being in school and experiencing this. Ashley, it really struck me when you said we have I forget exactly how you put it, but I think we don't control when it comes. We don't. For those out there, men, boys, who think that women can control when this happens, we cannot. And so, Alex, can you speak to what it's like to be in a classroom and have this just come on? I know you had a very powerful experience with a friend who got stuck, if you will.
Yeah, it's okay, so I was a 10th grader when I highlight it as a moment that's changed my life, because the student that was next to me was somebody that I sat next to every single day in my 10th grade year. We were in a class together, but it would be every week. She'd go to the nurse's office. She'd go to the nurse's office. I got to go to the nurse's office. And to me, it got to a point where it was a distraction, and I'm the type of person that always wants to find out more. So I ended up going with her. And when we go together, we get to the nurse's office and I see the nurse hand her a stack of toilet paper smushed together. And I asked my friend, "What is that?" And she's like, "It's my pad." And to me, those words, "it's my pad," have resonated in my head forever. Ever since that happened, I've fought to change that, because what she would do is every week she'd be going to the nurse's office, receiving these handmade pads by the nurse to go not only take them for herself, but to distribute to the other girls in our school that needed those items. And it wasn't just one of them, but it was multiple women. And for her, she had just come from another country. She didn't have the resources or the funds to protect and clean herself. And the way that she was getting it, she thought that that was the best help that she was ever going to get. And that's the reality for many of these girls. They'll take what they can get. These menstruators are taking what they can get, whether that just be a single toilet paper sheet or that be nothing, and having to walk in what can be considered a devastating moment, feeling dirty. You should never feel dirty. Now that I'm going to college and I'm in university, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it in a private university where the machines that are supposed to carry those items are empty. You open them and they're empty. You open them or they cost you money, and sometimes you just don't have the funds on you. And it makes you feel less than. You can be the most capable person out there, but if you feel dirty, you're going to feel not capable. You're going to be feeling like you're less than. And when you live in a society that tells you that you're not supposed to speak on it, how do you reach out for help? So it is extremely important for the adults to open their ears and listen to people who don't have a voice. If you do not have the language to understand what's happening to you, you can't explain it. And I can talk about this going on because it's not just one person. It's literally thousands and millions of people worldwide who are facing this. And you can just bring it to your community. If you go into a school and they don't have the box where they're distributing products, how do you clean yourself? Sometimes it's too much to ask for when the same toilet paper resources are empty. You go in, there's no toilet paper in the stall. That's the bare minimum. That's for everybody, but there's no toilet paper. Or sometimes, and this happened to me specifically, I was going to class and all the toilet paper, all the toilets on my floor were broken. So even if I had the resources, I can't use the toilets. And I'm a student and I'm trying to do my best. I stay all my time in school. My whole year is consumed by school. So if I'm in school for 12 years of my life, shouldn't the school provide what I need? And it's not just me. Like, you can ask. I bet you every single menstruator has a similar story where they haven't had a toilet paper sheet. They haven't had a period product. And the thing is, you can't talk about it on a school level. I've talked to male teachers and they've made me feel uncomfortable. They've told me, hold on, that's not my problem. Figure it out yourself. Hold on, you're my instructor. You're supposed to help me. And it's this huge intersectional issue that we continue seeing, and it's gotten worse as time has gone on because we face things like a pandemic. So it's something that hurts me because I see my friends, people that I care about, suffering and feeling dirty. Nobody should feel dirty. Everybody should feel clean. And if you feel dirty for too much time, you can get infected. That's the other thing. Like, it's not just something that it's like, oh, one time. If you're sitting in blood for a long time, it can lead to infection.
And I can't believe that every woman out there who's watching this show isn't feeling some level of distress at this point. Dr. Bostick, you look like you've been dying to get in.
It's just so much information that's being thrown at us, and great information. Even I'm a woman, educator, past educator. So to hear stories about what's happening, in the school system. And I think Ashley said it perfectly. We can give them a pen, we can give them a notebook, we can give them a school supply list. But on that school supply list, it isn't, oh, bring a box of Always or Tampax, or, that's not a part of the supply list. So we have a duty. Everyone on here, everyone that's listening, everyone that's watching, or who's even going to watch the playback, we have a duty. Like, this is, and I'm a woman, and I'm just hearing things while Alex was talking. I'm sitting over here like, I know these issues occur with pregnant women. When women are pregnant, men don't understand like what women go through. But before we become pregnant, hello, we all menstruate. And it's like, those are issues. So it's not only just us women educating women or women educating girls. It is us as a community educating men as well, educating caregivers as well. What if I'm a single dad? I have a teen daughter. I don't know. If my daughter doesn't know, I'm a man, I'm not going to know. So, I mean, this bill, Learning with Dignity, and even this initiative itself has so much potential to grow, not just locally, nationally, but internationally. It's always an international issue, but here in our own backyard. This is important. How are we educating those who may watch this video, but what about those who don't watch this video? What are those who don't get the opportunity to understand what Learning with Dignity is, or what the bill requires? What is our responsibility? What do we do? How do we go from here? That's my question to anyone on the panel.
Well, one of the things is we have to be comfortable talking about it. But Ashley, because I know I mean, this is not something that we grow up feeling comfortable talking about, but we have to. Ashley, you got about 2 minutes to close this off and tell us your thoughts on where do we go from here?
Okay, where do we go from here? I think number one is awareness of the issue, but awareness of periods in general. When I started my period, my father was the only one home with me at the time. And I'm so glad that my mother prepared me. But what about the students that aren't prepared? What about the parents that are scared to have the talk with the student? Then they go to our schools and the teachers aren't prepared. The teachers don't want to actually address the issue, or we don't have the products to actually give them to address this issue. So I think awareness is the first way we dismantle this taboo issue. And also, if you're going to advocate, there's so many other ways that advocate besides for, marching at the Capitol. It could be inquiring with your local school, your neighborhood school, do they have these products for students? How can you donate these products for students at that school? SAC meeting, PTA meetings, asking these questions to make sure that the school in your neighborhood is actually taking care for those students who menstruate. My motto is, we all just have to do our part. So my part may be actually distributing these products through our organization. It may be advocating for learning with dignity and marching to the beat of we're going to fight period poverty on the front lines. But everyone has a part, and your part may be actually sharing this broadcast. It may be contacting the CSC and seeing how you can partner with the strategic plan or the Girls Coordinating Council. It may be calling your legislator, or it may be as simple as speaking to your own children or the children that are in your village. The only way we're going to combat this issue is to talk about it and then to actually discuss what's our next steps. So I think this was a big step, Cindy.
Thank you, Ashley. That was a great place to end. It always amazes me how fast these conversations go by, but I really appreciate all that you've done to highlight this issue that is really a hidden one. Alex, thank you for being my co-host and making sure that we understand that period poverty is a serious issue. It really affects women and girls' self-esteem, their ability to succeed. I want to thank Alex again, Ashley Eubanks, Dr. Ciara Bostick, Meagan Turetsky, and Senator Lauren Book for all that they're doing to help this, to help young women across Broward get access to affordable menstrual products. As Alex and I have been your hosts for this special Youth Summit series episode of Future First, if you want a copy of this, which I hope you will, because we want you to distribute it broadly, for this episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children, you can find it on our website at cscbroward.org, where you can access our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and remember to join us next time on Future First, Focus on Broward's Children.